Rewind to that moment when Joe, in his usual witty charm, dropped the wisdom nugget that sent ripples across the podcast universe. Picture this: a regular day, a regular episode, but something extraordinary was about to happen. The topic of the day was the paradox of choice. The conversation was flowing like a river, smooth and steady, with Joe at the helm, steering it with his characteristic flair. The guest was renowned psychologist Dr. Jane Anderson, an expert in decision-making processes, and their conversation was a rich tapestry of insights and anecdotes. As the discourse meandered through the labyrinth of choices and its impact on our lives, Joe, in his unique style, guided the conversation towards a rather unexplored path. His question was simple, yet profound. Isn't it ironic that in an era of unlimited choices, we often find ourselves paralyzed rather than liberated? This question hung in the air, a spark that ignited a thoughtful pause. Dr. Anderson, taken aback by the depth of the question, nodded in agreement. It was a moment of revelation, a moment of collective introspection for everyone listening in. The reactions were immediate and profound. Social media went abuzz, with listeners sharing their personal experiences and reflections. The podcast's comment section overflowed with appreciative messages, many thanking Joe for articulating a thought they'd been grappling with but had been unable to express. Many started calling it the Wisdom Nugget, a term that soon became synonymous with Joe's insightful observations. It was a pivotal moment, a testament to Joe's ability to delve deep into the human psyche and bring forth insights that resonate with his listeners. This wisdom nugget wasn't just a statement. It was a catalyst prompting listeners to reflect, to question, to engage in conversations that matter. It was a demonstration of Joe's uncanny ability to distill complex ideas into relatable insights. And it was a moment that reaffirmed why his podcasts are a treasure trove of wisdom and wit. And just like that, Joe left us all contemplating life's big questions. Fast forward to the time when Joe had us all in stitches with his quick wit and humor. Do you remember the episode with the renowned author, Mark Twain? The conversation was flowing smoothly, discussing the nuances of Twain's latest book. Suddenly, Joe, with his characteristic irreverent humor, made a joke that left everyone, including the stoic Twain, in splits. "So, Mark," he said, "if your characters had podcasts, who would they invite as a guest? Maybe Tom Sawyer interviewing Huckleberry Finn?" The absurdity of the idea, presented in Joe's unique style, was impossible to resist. The laughter echoed in every corner, transforming the serious literary discussion into a hilarious, light-hearted conversation. The listeners were infected by the spontaneous mirth, their day brightened by this unexpected dose of humor. It was a moment that truly showcased Joe's ability to inject fun into any discussion. And that, folks, is how Joe turned the tables and made us all burst into laughter. Remember when Joe surprised us all with an unexpected revelation during one of his podcasts? Ah, yes, that was indeed a moment that seared itself into our collective memory. It happened in an episode that started off like any other, with Joe's familiar voice easing us into what we thought would be a routine conversation. The guests were introduced, the pleasantries exchanged, and the stage set for the usual deep dive into the topic of the day. Little did we know, something extraordinary was brewing beneath the surface. The episode was already halfway through when Joe casually dropped the bombshell. It was so seamlessly woven into the conversation that it took a moment for the sheer magnitude of the revelation to sink in. There was a collective gasp, both from the guests and, we imagine, from everyone tuning in. A moment of stunned silence followed before the conversation erupted into a flurry of questions and speculations. The context of the revelation was not something out of the ordinary, which added to the surprise. It was a seemingly mundane discussion about the trials and tribulations of everyday life. But then, with a twist that only Joe could pull off, he revealed a personal anecdote that no one saw coming. A revelation that not only changed the course of the conversation, but also shed new light on our understanding of Joe. The reactions were instantaneous and widespread. Social media platforms were abuzz with discussions, debates, and fan theories. Some praised Joe for his honesty and openness, while others were left reeling from the sheer unexpectedness of it all. The guests, too, were taken aback, their reactions ranging from surprise to admiration, from disbelief to respect. But that's just classic Joe for you. Unpredictable, intriguing, and never missing a beat to keep us engaged. His ability to weave in such unexpected elements into his shows is what sets him apart. It's what makes his podcasts a thrilling ride, always keeping us guessing, always keeping us coming back for more. With that, Joe added yet another twist in the tale, keeping us all on the edge of our seats. Take a moment to recollect the fiery debate that Joe navigated with such finesse. It was a spectacle of wit, intellect, and diplomacy. It was a day when sparks flew across the internet and the podcast world was set ablaze. The guest was none other than the renowned thinker, Dr. Samuel Peterson, a man known for his strong and sometimes controversial views. And the topic, well, it was one that could make even the calmest of us sweat a little: the future of artificial intelligence. A topic that has stirred many a pot in the world of tech and beyond. As the conversation began, it was clear that Joe and Dr. Peterson were on opposite ends of the spectrum. Joe, the ever-optimistic technophile, and Dr. Peterson, the cautious skeptic. But Joe, ever the professional, was not fazed by the difference in opinion. He was prepared to engage, to question, and to understand. The debate was heated, yes, but it was also a masterclass in respectful discourse. Joe did not shy away from challenging Dr. Peterson's views. He posed tough questions, pushing the boundaries of the conversation. Yet he did so with respect, with an open mind and a genuine desire to understand. And when the heat rose, when voices threatened to break into shouts, Joe was there to douse the flames. He steered the conversation back to a place of mutual respect and understanding. He reminded us that it's okay to disagree, that it's okay to challenge, but it's never okay to disrespect. Joe's handling of the debate was a testament to his incredible skill as a moderator. He showed us that it's not about winning or losing, but about understanding, about learning from each other, about growing together. In the face of adversity, Joe showed us all how to maintain decorum and respect for differing viewpoints. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why Joe's podcasts continue to captivate audiences, to provoke thought, and to inspire change. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the topics we discuss, but the way we discuss them. And who could forget that heartfelt moment when Joe shared a personal story that moved us all? It was during an episode that started like any other, unfolding with the usual banter and insightful discussions. But as the conversation progressed, the tone shifted. Joe, in his inimitable style, began to share a story from his own life. A tale that was deeply personal, one that he hadn't widely discussed before. The story revolved around a struggle he faced in his early career. A time when he was on the brink of giving up, when the world seemed too overwhelming, too relentless. He spoke about the cloud of doubt that hovered, the fear of failure that threatened to consume him. His words were raw and charged with emotion, resonating with a profound honesty that could be felt even through the airwaves. As Joe narrated his journey, he didn't shy away from the lows or the painful moments. He didn't mask the difficulty or the despair. Instead, he shared them openly, his voice steady even as it wavered with emotion. He spoke about the darkness, yet also about the glimmers of light that kept him going. The small victories, the moments of clarity, the instances of support that fueled his determination. The listeners were transfixed. They were part of this journey, sharing in Joe's struggles and triumphs. Many found themselves reflecting on their own experiences, their own stories. The comments and messages that poured in after the episode were testament to the profound impact Joe's story had on his audience. It was a moment that remains etched in the memory of the listeners, making it one of the most memorable moments of his podcast journey. In sharing his heart, Joe reminded us all of the power of authenticity and vulnerability. He showed us that it's okay to share our struggles, to admit when we're not okay. He reminded us that even in our darkest moments, we're not alone. That every story, every journey has its highs and lows, and it's this roller coaster that makes us who we are. In sharing his heart, Joe reminded us all of the power of authenticity and vulnerability.